Okay, welcome everyone. This is Let's Talk Top Tech on October 27, 2022, and we have a few items on the agenda. The first one, I think Harshat is having that one. It's about solver priority and index. All yours, Harshat.
As we all know that we are running multiple solvers, for example, the UBI 8, Python 3.8, and Fedora 34, Python 3.9, and Fedora 35, Python 3.10 for now. The way it works is that the solver tries to solve each and every package for each of these solvers and also for different indexes. Uh, so something which we noticed is already know that the ingestion takes time because there are millions of packages to be resolved and also then multiplied by 3 because we have 3 solvers and such as that. But what we have noticed is when users are asking advice from advisor, even though we know that our Python UBI Python 3.8 is at 99% of already solved, users are getting sometimes one of the reasons of why they're getting when they ask for a latest is they're getting one version below. So if you're requesting for something called 1.2 and but still they're getting 1.1 is because the latest version of a package has just been released, which is not yet ingested by our database. And that happens because there is already a lot of packages in the pipelines to be sent, and this new package version just came in, so it will have to wait for that queue to be over and then to get in. So the question here was, should we prioritize few solvers over others and say, as of now, we have few consumers who really need UBI 8, Python 3.8. That's what we're seeing as in the trend. And we are not seeing the trend of Python 3, Fedora 34. Should we say, okay, let's just stick with the solver for UBI 8 for now and propagate that as our priority so that the users who are consuming it are always fulfilled with their devices, instead of saying, instead of trying to do the whole solution solvers every time. So that was the whole objective of this topic. Last time we spoke about something about priority in Argo workflow. That could be one thing which we can switch in for these solvers, but it will it will not have a drastic change in it, but it will definitely have um, some effect of it. Another would be to specifically close the other ones still, but even though if we close them, it will not solve an issue. So yeah, that's the topic for discussion. What do you think could be something which we can do?
Oh, Harshad, is it like we have a config map for solvers? It got 3 or 4 by now. If we remove a solver from the config map, we still need to remove the data from the database to scope or to limit the packages we are looking at.
Not really. So like we should only remove the data from our database when we say we are no longer providing advice for this.
Okay.
But we don't have to remove it. If we are removing it from the config map, we are just saying that we are not solving it for the time being.
So that would be one alternative that we could select, right? We remove it from the database. We don't generate new data for all the other solvers. We basically stick with the set of solvers put in the config map. The other alternative that you listed is priority in solver workflow, so that we implement a priority for solving new packages. So we would keep a long list of solvers in the config map, and we would priority sort what we're going to solve first. Is that correct? That sounds like we need to implement that, right?
Right. So addressing this one, like what happens is the consumer will schedule 1,000 workflows per hour. In that 1,000, we can prioritize the UBI ones to clear first, to clear them first, and than the Fedora ones. So that's what we can do. But it will, like I said, it will not change anything significantly for us. Like it will not have a change a lot, but it will be a small change for us. Like definitely something which is valuable to us. The removal of solvers from config map has a concern. So it is just a temporary solution. As soon as suppose tomorrow we add back the Fedora, the same thing will happen because the creation of new packages will never stop, right? Every day there are millions of people who are creating their packages, so we can't stop that. So it is a continuous ingestion process. It's more so we have to find something which will resolve this by saying, okay, solver for UBI 8 should always be first if it's in the queue, but that's something which we have already discussed with Kafka. If we have gone in that flow, then we are saying we are scheduling these results, so we have to stay with it. So there is something which we can change from package release job. So what we can do there is saying in package release job, we can try to do something like if new packages are coming, new packages are found, and because we are checking there if it's already exist in database or not, we can try to say if they are not available for UBI 8, let's send the message for that first compared to other ones. But yeah, this is also from my limited knowledge of package release job and GraphSync job refresher. But if anyone else have other ideas, yeah, please do share.
So, quick question. This option of adding a priority per solver, can this be manually done, like just to test, or do we need to implement the whole thing? Like, can we do something to see how it would impact before we commit to fully develop it?
I'm not sure. This is an algo workflow pattern. Maybe we can do with some few changes, I think, but it will take some time.
It feels to me like one of the wonderful tech debt issues that we carry around, right? So reducing the config map to the solvers that we most often see, that we think we should pick, is the immediate solution, or it's an immediate action that we could take. The priority in the solver workflow feels to me like it's implementation work. We need to have a look at priorities in Argo. We need to figure out, is it really it? Do we just need to put a priority, or do we need to do other sorting? Don't know. Is it just the solver workflow? Is it DocSync that we need to have a look at too, so that it respects the priority? Feels like a little bit more work, but feels to me like, yeah, that is most valuable, right? Because if we start adding solvers, we will be at the same problem again, correct? So
yes,
it feels to me like tech debt. Yeah, I'd say let's remove the Fedora things from the config map and try to focus on these for now. Let's create a tech debt issue, describe the solution that we have or that we could imagine, and then go ahead from there, see what's happening.
So yeah, let's definitely keep on discussing it. I don't think we should remove them as of now because we have already come to we have already reached to 80% of them fulfilling. So maybe sooner they will reach to the 90%. Once they reach the 90%, then it is not a concern for us. Then the concern will come on when we include a new solver. So this is something which this question is arriving at the right point, I feel, but as soon as the next one comes in, that's when we'll see the actual bottleneck. So we don't need to remove them, but we need to find another solution to fix this bottleneck issue. But if everyone is clear, that's good enough for today. Like if everyone is understanding what the problem statement here is. But if you feel there's something missing which you don't understand, let us ask. Please feel free to ask.
I at the bottom of that paragraph, I added how to pick our focus. I think I heard you saying roads people use all that stuff, so they should be focused, right? Because they are most often, I think, they are most often requesting UBI 8, Python 3.8, even though it might be a little bit outdated or end of life, they are still using it. That needs to be our focus, obviously. The other thing that came to my mind is whatever's the latest and greatest version supported by Red Hat or released by Red Hat, which would translate to UBI 8 Python 3.9 by now, or at this point in time. And then the comment that Max just made in the chat, well, based on our research, if we can show off that Python 3.11 on a Fedora blah 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 38 or 40 or whatever gives you a performance increase, that should also be supported. But that's an even longer cycle, because that would mean that we are going back to the performance indicators and really figure out what is increasing the performance here. Does that make sense to you people?
Yeah, just to clarify that it's not a hypothetical question. I think we do have a solver waiting to kick in, which is RHEL 9, right? So
yeah.
They should, in terms of prioritizing this, maybe, I mean, not urgent, but it's something that we want to address soonish.
Yeah, it depends, right? If it's gonna take us 2 months to implement the priority thing for the workflow, it might be that in the same time frame we're gonna solve all that stuff anyways. I don't know how that relates to each other.
So addition in priority in solver shouldn't take that much time, but it will also not solve the whole overall issue. That's what I'm saying. It will just fix the issue for the per hour changes. It will not change the issue for the per month changes which we are trying to make. So we need another solution for it by saying, okay, let's say the ones which we, for example, I don't think this one is correct, but like, for example, let's say the already sent solvers, like say UBI 8 or Python 3 or Fedora 34, we keep them as a different topic, and the newer solvers become a new topic in Kafka. In that way, we have a clear differentiation of two topics, and then we can have the consumer consume the topics based on this, like saying which are already ingested, let's try to keep them up to date, and the other one can go slower. The consumption of that can happen slower. But that's just an idea which still is not the proper one. We need to find something out. So the components would be solver prescript. So yeah, I can include this information here too.
Well, one thing we should do probably is create an issue for this.
Yes.
Good. Yes, create an issue for it. To me, as I said, it feels like tech debt. It feels like a short-term solution or short-term remediation would be no, you had something to say about the config map, right?
Yeah, I was saying if we remove them, it will.
Yes.
Yeah, it will not solve the issue. It might solve it for few things, but not in a general topic. So removing them for now, it doesn't make sense. Yeah. Unless we are removing the whole data and say we are not supporting any more Fedora 34. That's something which we, if we do, then
Yes. No, we shouldn't do that. The data is expensive, and I think 34 is still alive. So let's keep it.
I guess that's it for this topic. But this could be something which we can recurrently discuss in stack guidance and go through that.
How the heck do we create task items here?
I don't know. I saw them in action, but I don't know how to create them. Anyway, if anyone knows, please feel free to.
I don't know.
Okay, anything else about this topic? If not, we can go to the next one. It's a question, I think, from Gage, right? Where are, how are we injecting justification clustering tags in Thoth?
Yeah, so I think we decided to push this to a tech talk because we didn't really know where the best place to put it was. So this is in context, this is for the clustering advise issue or epic, and part of that is having tags to cluster on. And where do we want to like inject that? Do we want it to be on the Thamos level and just put it in when someone wants to filter? I mean, add the tags when someone wants to filter, or do we want to add that distinction farther up the chain?
Do we want to have clustering only for justifications, or only for and also for stack info and other parts of the results?
Right, both stack info and justification. So that was my idea. Grouping those together.
Okay. I think it's maybe a bit tricky to have it in the advisor directly, because I think it's more difficult to modify than having it like later in the chain. I don't know if you agree with that, but I think it's not very maintainable to have it directly in advice results, like in advisor. But I don't know on the other end if Thamos should be the only integration to have those tags implemented. I think it could be. I don't think it should be on the API either. But I think, yeah, maybe Thamos is the best candidate for this.
The only reason I'd say not to put it on Thamos is if the user API, I mean, not the user API. I guess, yeah, the user API and the search UI, if they wanted to use those clusterings, those tags, they would not be able to if it was only accessible through Thamos. So, I mean, is there, I guess, at the root of it where justification gets added, can the justification itself just be modified to have another metadata tag, or?
You can modify, like, I mean, we can modify justifications directly in advisor. At the moment when advisor adds the justification to the results, but if you want to have like also info about the stack info, like I don't know if it's very maintainable to have that in advisor. I mean, it's doable, but every time you add a new tag or remove it, you will have to modify things in advisor. And I'm not sure that's easy to implement.
Okay.
In my very simple Kubernetes-driven mind, isn't there a point in advisor where we just can inject some structure? I mean, where do these tags come from? Who's generating the tags for the piece of information?
Do you mean the justification text or stack info?
Yeah, actually both. Yes.
I mean, it's in the resolver, so it's directly in the resolver.
So I would tend to agree with Gage in the sense that it seems so Thamos is one integration, but there are others. And if I remember correctly, the conversation around this epic started from the Surge UI and how it was tricky to parse the output and a bit hacky to classify it, right? If we can do the same, if we want to do the same type of or tie the output in different integrations, Surge UI, user API, Jupyter Notebook extensions, and then it kind of sounds like the output of the user API should provide at least a framework to help create that structure. So, and the thing is, I'm failing to see what makes it less maintainable. If we can we just not add an additional field, which is maybe tag or category or.
So I think so. We can't use can't put those tags in the API because the API calls advisor anyway. So I mean, I think it's like either advisor or one of the integrations. If I'm correct, but I think maybe we could try it on advisor, but like at the very end when the result is about to get like send out. Like I mean, I'm pretty against adding tags during every resolving step. You know what I mean? But maybe in the end, we can have some kind of filter to, not filter, but I mean like intermediary step to add the tags we want, and we can update them more easily. And you just have to parse the final results.
Couldn't that be a part in the advisor pipeline? I mean, by recommendation type, we're going to choose a pipeline that we're going to execute, right? And one step of the pipeline could be to add meta information.
Why would it be correlated to the recommendation type?
Correct. It's not correlated. So at one point in time of the pipeline execution, we could have a step that is adding meta information, right?
Yes, but I don't think it would be that easy to have. I mean, I'm more for implementing this at the very end. But I mean,
yes.
if someone wants to implement, of course, that pipeline, I would understand. But that's just my opinion.
What do you mean by very end? In opposite to some step in the pipeline?
Yes. Means when the result is already produced.
Yes,
So
when the resolution is finished, and if I got all my information gathered, all the justification and stuff, basically
Yes.
when the huge advice document is created, right?
Right.
At that point in time, we have I'll not call it post-processing step, but we'll have a processing step that is adding the meta information to, for example, all the justifications, right? That is
Right.
what you're thinking?
Yes.
That sounds meaningful to me. I don't know if we have all the information at that point in time, but that might also depend on how we're going to calculate for example, the tags. If we just need to pass through the text of the justification, that seems to be easy as a processing step when everything is done.
Yes. It depends on the tags we want to have. So I don't know if you have some official list yet. Do you know about this?
Well, it depends. I think having ones for like actions to take at least, so actionable items, security related, or
so this is all about prescriptions anyway. So that's in justifications. All of this. And
I think so.
And apart from justifications, do we have something else?
So I'm not sure if it's only for prescriptions, and actually I believe prescriptions might be one of the tags that's meant like kind of to flag that something comes from a prescription, but there are others like might want to classify that are not that come from investigating, let's say, or finding compatibility issues that don't come from prescriptions or like installation problems.
Yes, that's true.
So we might have tags that don't necessarily come from prescriptions. I think. I mean, not that we have a final list, but I think the list would potentially include tags that are not specific to prescriptions.
In this case, maybe I didn't look into details enough, but I don't think it should be too difficult to add this at the very end, right? Even if it's part of stack info.
Because basically it's reading through the advice document again and adding meta information. That's how we're going to create these tags and stuff,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
So the only issue with having it at the end and relying on parsing the justification is then there's sort of 2 points of context. If you want to change some justifications, you would have to also then possibly change the parsing of the tags and categories, because if you change the text of, say, like one filter relies on a certain string of text to be there to tag it something, and say you reword it and that's no longer there, there are two faraway points of contact that are now broken in a way, but silently broken.
That's true. And if it's only for justifications, that's something like, for example, in prescriptions, it's very easy to add some tags. So it's just fields in the YAML. So in this case, I don't think you have to rely on parsing. But if it's like for others, I don't think we will modify the text fields anyway, because it's advisor logic, and I don't think it needs modifying. Like, to me, it's pretty stable, but I don't know if there's anything worth modifying. Like, I mean, regarding, as you say, PEP installation issues and incompatibilities and this kind of things.
So if we know the clustering which we want from the stack info, then probably we can add another key to the stack info, because I know that there is a type key in it and the message key. Type means if it's an info or a warning, something like that in the message, right? If we already know, if you want to cluster based on CVEs, then we can put that tag of tag called CVE into that stack info, because I think even in the advisor code, it has this differentiation of checking if it's coming from CVE, then there is another part of logic which runs for gathering this stack info, then we can add this tag there. So I guess first we need to dial down onto what kind of clusterings we are thinking about. And if we have predefined, then we can start looking into the advisor code and implementing these into the stack info part of it. And justifications, and as justifications already are written, we know few of them, and we can probably add to that pattern as well. But yeah, I guess for me, I would like to know what are the clusterings which we are thinking to get into these things more deeper.
Yeah, sounds good.
So as a next step, let's start with the list of clustering which we are already thinking or which are already thought of, and drill down to it, and then we can how do you say, divide it on which part goes into prescriptions, which goes into justifications, and which will go into the stack info. That will help us out, and also it will help us into split the work, right? Instead of putting the burden on one person to look and add all the tags.
Sounds good.
Is this the issue? about.
Yeah. Think so. And there is a list I just saw if you scroll a little down. Is this something which we discussed during the call?
We did discuss it in the past, but I don't remember the
Yeah.
details.
I think some of these are more metadata and less
Mhm.
tag, I guess, category tags.
Yeah, there was something that is not contemplated here. For example, I remember one use case that it doesn't apply for the search UI because you are already looking at that buys when you're there. But from Thamos, for example, the output, the link that points to the search UI was kind of buried between all the results. So that would be kind of a category would be metadata, if you want, like hardware information and stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's not listed here.
So how about this? For this week, we take as a homework to each of us to point out what tags are we looking at and what would be helpful for us. And we come back again next week and discuss in this call what are these tags, and then we'll divide it where all these things should go. Because I also see that it would make sense in a lot of things if it is coming all the way from advisor, that it makes it easier to differentiate on Thamos and also in user API. But I also agree that not everything should go into advisor. Few of the things can come from prescriptions as well.
Just to be sure about the difference between tag and metadata. Metadata is what we'll use to actually do the clustering, and tags will be used as filters by users, right?
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah, what I was saying though is that I believe, I'm just thinking aloud here, maybe I'm wrong, but I was thinking that metadata itself could be a tag, like showing that this is metadata, the same way as prescriptions could be a tag saying that this comes from a prescription. And you can, I mean, not limiting to those, but those, I see potential use cases for those, like, for example, understanding how much, because it's not just about clustering. You can also filter, and you can, let's say, show me what part of this advice comes from prescriptions. Then you can filter on that tag, for example, or just show me metadata about my advice or something like that. Make sense? Maybe it doesn't.
In the end, I don't care if it's called a tag or metadata or whatever the technicality is. We should be able to say something like, this list of packages, this list of projects is not doing proper CI and is not doing code review while being developed. Or this set of packages is having less than 3 maintainers. That is information from source code. Yes, correct. But I, as a user, I just want to know, is the project doing good? Are they doing what we consider good practice for software development? CI/CD, code review, having a set of maintainers, so truck factor is low, stuff like that. I don't know if that translates to a tag or if that translates to meta information on justifications. Doesn't matter. I need to think about that. Maybe I don't understand the homework. Harshad, maybe I don't understand completely the homework, but I agree. Let's all think about what we want to get out of that thing, of that tagging, of that clustering, of that labeling, of that meta information thing. Does it help, Gage?
Yeah, I think where you were saying sort of like, is this project healthy or not, it's kind of like all the scorecards added together, giving a final score, like the average of all the scorecards. And I think there's some issues, right, that talk about doing something like that, giving like a score for a project.
Yeah, and I think the statement is not correct, because not all the scorecard information are talking about project health. They're also talking about security, right? I think signed commits and signed Git tags, for example, or signed releases or something like that, they're going to call it. That's not really project health. You could be having one maintainer which is doing quite a good job on signing stuff. So I don't know if we want to collide all the scorecard stuff together, or if we really want to be able to have certain higher level ideas of what the scorecard metric talks about. I see.
Okay.
Confuse you more than help you, I guess.
Right, but I think the tags still have. I think that's kind of separate from the whole overall health. The tags is more of like an explorative way to look at your project and see, okay, well, how can I improve it? Just saying it's not healthy doesn't help. You need to basically show them which justifications, which tags are going to, like, we're like sifting through that and trying to find it, or just using the clustering. I guess that's what the priorities of the tags are.
Yes. Yes, that makes sense.
Makes sense.
Okay, anything else on that topic? Cool, we will retake it once we have more feedback on the tags. So moving on to the zero bug policy. There is this PR. Well, actually, this is the issue about implementing the zero bug policy. There is a PR about adding this explanation. Max, you wanted to get more reviews on the PR, maybe, or beyond that?
Yeah, that's valid. Or if you just agree with it and have nothing to say, well, just say that. Because I think it's only a good policy if we can agree on it.
Well,
Yeah, I
yes.
guess. Sorry. I guess the main point of discussion here is bug versus feature, and how do we requalify those?
Yeah, that is something that, from my point of view, we should or could do asynchronously if we are delegating all that stuff back to the corresponding zig. If we are figuring out it's not directly supporting a user interaction, but it's somehow broken, it is obviously a bug. I'm unsure if we can write down a policy on what a bug and a feature is. If you scroll down a little bit, I think Max's last comment said, "Well, let's have a file, or let's have a policy on the criteria for a bug or feature." That sounds hard to me. No, down. It's just the last comment. Are we on the same thing? No, I'm on 455. Damn it! Sorry about that.
Okay.
Drop it here. Yes, exactly. Do we really want to write down and document such a list of criteria, what a bug, what a feature is? Or is it a continuous negotiation process we're going to have in each sub-team, each group?
I would say that the criteria should be can we live with it or not?
And
Say again.
sorry?
I'd say the criteria will be can we live with that? If we
live
can
with
live with it, it's not a bug. If we can't, and it's so annoying and it broke everything, it's a bug. Or it broke enough that we feel we can't have it anymore.
Yeah, fair. That makes a lot of things a bug because I can't live with a lot of things. But I got your point.
Because I also think having a precise set of criteria is not really possible. So
It might be possible, but then we are pretty close to a machine learning model that we serialized into a GitHub issue. So I'd say let's take that. If it's really so annoying that we can't live with it, it's a bug. Even though it's not dropping a 404 or 500 or something like that, we consider it a bug.
The proposal, and I agree with that, is how a bug is determined is up to the SIGs, and I would rely on every SIG to determine if it's a bug or not. And then if you open an issue, label kind bug, and then the SIG says, no, it's a feature,
Yeah.
well, you go to the SIG and complain. But let's say, I think we cannot aim to a policy that clearly defines every future issue as a bug or not. So that's a bit too.
Yeah. Then let's do it. Let's merge it.
Yeah, well, I didn't comment on. There's this discussion. I think this also needs. I didn't comment because I don't have a better proposal. But I think this sentence. I understand the meaning, but I think it probably can benefit from a better wording. Like, but if not, it's not a bug, then it's a feature or something like that. But it is very confusing.
There is one thing which is kind of linked with that, in my opinion. It's the stuff on labels, because for me a feature is not exactly the same as something that should be improved, like I don't know, optimization or refactoring, stuff like that. And I will distinguish stuff that is sort of a bug, but not a bug because we can live with it, and feature which are really new stuff that we were not doing and we trying to do something like kind of improvement or kind of, I don't know what.
Well, kind improvement is kind feature, right?
It's not a bug. It's working. It would just be better. I'm not that annoyed about it, but it could be better. So it seems to be a feature, right?
Yeah, I was thinking that you were talking about this potential mix here with kind feature and kind bug with kind documentation, where you can have documentation bugs and documentation feature required. Or well, anyway, back to the issue itself, and the PR itself. Let's say last call for reviews, and set a deadline for this, otherwise we don't progress. Does that make sense? Let's say by next Thursday we will have that closed, and any potential follow-up issues we can talk about them. But
What, by tomorrow, you said?
next text talk. I cannot pronounce that. Next tech talk. So next Thursday.
That's good for me. It feels like we could do it right here, right now. Because if we say we're going to deal with whatever comes out of it later on, that's something that we could do right here, right now. Anyways.
Okay.
Cool. So Max, have a final look at the stuff. Let us know. I'm off to do some karate later on, so maybe I'm in an aggressive mood and just put an approve while I'm bored, waiting for being hit.
Okay, I'll do that.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay. Slightly over time. So any final comments before we close?
No.
No?
There's a discussion going on Open Data Hub Slack with regards to, is it a custom notebook resource image or blah, blah, blah. I'm going to summarize that shortly. It feels like they are going with custom runtime image. The argument is in the Slack. I have summarized it. I'm going to hit return later on.
Custom runtime image.
Yes. A more generic name could have been found. Yes.
Naming is
I
hard.
think we should just call it image. That'll make sure that we cover everything.
Why don't we
Container.
just call it container? It could be something, right? Just call it container. I think Guillaume would go with container. Shall I propose that? That we're going to call it custom runtime container?
Custom container image.
Custom container image. Let's see. So on a high level, they are trying to rename everything that's notebook into a workspace. I think that is motivated by KCP, by other people calling all that stuff workspace, and it's not really a notebook anymore because notebook is Jupyter language, and they are going for RStudio and blah 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 blah. So it's not a notebook anymore; it's a workspace. I don't care. Naming is hard, and it's marketing.
Okay, in any case, thank you for all the time. I'm going to stop the recording and I'll see you next week.
See ya. Bye. Bye.